was never going to be done easily in time frames here, and we could be here all day, we know that. Someone said we will be now because of the next person to get to the microphone. He's going to bring it all together, we'll be waiting for him to speak, and we know he's going to offer something incredibly special. Please welcome Phil Parmer to the microphone. Secretary.
Those stories that brought tears to our eyes from Boomer, from Paul, just then, we've been hearing in the union office for years, but now you've been hearing it because our members have been standing up and speaking out. And they're going to keep on doing that. Despite Rob Lucas, Wadey the cleaning lady, and Stephen Marshall's attempt to stop us, we're going to keep doing it. But and forgive me for reading from a speech because I want to not miss out anything, and I do tend to wander, as our members full well know. So for years the Ambos Union has been warning the government and South Australians about the huge risk to public safety because of chronic and significant staff shortages. You heard what the impact of that is on this, the patient and on the practitioner from Boomer. Ramping is indeed a big problem, but it's got worse under Wade and Marshall. But even without ramping, there's not enough crews. There's very little ramping in country hospitals, but there's still a critical shortage of ambulances from one end of the state to the other. Not just the metro, but everywhere. There's nowhere in the ambulance service, nowhere in South Australia where communities are getting the service they need and deserve. Nowhere.
Shame.
Before the last state election, Stephen Wade wrote to us and undertook, on behalf of the government, if they got, well, on behalf of his party, if they got elected, they would address our concerns. That's what they said. We've got it in writing. Needless to say, it was a lie. They've not only failed to address the risks that we raised with them, but they've compounded them many times over since. So much so that there's been a lot of people died in our community who could have been saved if they got an ambulance on time. What the number is, we're not sure. We say it's at least 8. It's probably more. But it's not just the tragic loss of life, it's the prolonged suffering. Many, many more than the deaths have had people with conditions who have deteriorated because they haven't got a crew, haven't got attended in time, end up with a longer hospital stay because they didn't get worked up in the right way, in the right time frame. A good example of that, for instance, is the elderly have a fall, break a hip, excruciating pain. Some of them waiting 10 hours to get pain relief because there's no crews available. And when times are really tight and they have to start bumping certain jobs, lower urgent jobs, so that the higher, the life-threatening jobs can be done, they just bump mental health patients altogether. Just tell them they probably won't get an ambulance. That's a human rights issue. Failure to provide pain relief is a human rights issue. We live in a first world country, not a third world country. I'd like to say we don't live under dictatorship, but my experience in the last few months is I think we probably are living under a dictatorship. And I won't name the dictator, but you can guess. In terms of mental health patients, we've now been hearing over the last couple of weeks, particularly down south, where an ambulance can't attend a mental health patient, so police are having to carry mental health patients and getting tied up in hospitals too. And we've heard that several times. So now SAPOL are being dragged into ambulance work. So if you want to do a bit of light thing at robbering or some crash a shop or something or other, it might be the time to do it now. So the Marshall government has abandoned our caring ambos. As I said, we're not a third world country, but it seems like it to us when people die when they don't have to. It's worth noting though that Marshall, Wade and Lucas rejected a cabinet submission for extra crews way back in 2019, early 2019. They had a cabinet submission put to them based on a report. They gave no reason for their rejection, and this secret report has become a secret report. They won't share with us or with anyone else. We took it to court several times, tried to get the release of that. It's called the ORH report. It's a report into staffing. That report said we needed about 160 extra staff. 3 years ago it said that. They won't release it because they argue that they've got immunity, and that immunity is because if that gets released publicly, the public will get a bit of an idea of what their deliberations are. Well, funny thing is, their deliberations are bleeding obvious. Their deliberations on that staffing bit was a big fat no, and it's still no to this day. The Marshall government has funded no extra crews in their 3 years of controlling Treasury. And now, when they're forced into a corner by our brave members, speaking up, chalking and talking, we call it, chalking the ambulances and talking to the public, they get backed into a corner, and so they start picking on unrelated issues. They want us to bargain. They want us to bargain for the community of South Australia. They want members to give up things so that we get more staff. They're using public safety, your safety, in a dangerous game of Russian roulette. They've got blood on their hands.
Disgrace!
The whole health system's in disarray. But where's Wadey? We don't know. Mumbling in the background somewhere, dithering around. We hollered for a marshal, but we got a promise of a new stadium in 4 years instead of a safe ambulance service now. Blood on their hands. Our members are fighting for you, but they need your help. I'm talking to the public now, those members of the public and other union people who are here. How can they help us? You can start by signing our petition. Get others to sign it. Fill the page. Fill many pages. We've got 18,000 or more of your fellow South Australians to sign our petition now, but we reckon we can get a lot more, and we reckon we should. People should be contacting their local MP and letting them know their view. Get your friends and family to do the same thing. Bombard them with complaints. We know that's starting to happen. We know from our colleagues in the Labor Party that's happening, and you can bet your boots it's happening to Liberal MPs as well. Because in the end, this will get down to votes, I think. If we scare them enough to think votes will turn against them, they'll have a change of heart, but it won't be for the moral reason, it'll be simply for their own bloody survival. So please do this, you members of the public, because the life you save might be your own, or that of a loved one. Doesn't matter what party you support, or what electorate you live in, or even if you're a union member or not, although I say you should be. You're at risk because of a result of the Marshall government's failure to act, and their ongoing failure to act. But let me tell you, we won't be blackmailed by a morally corrupt government. We'll fight for the safety of South Australians. As Max said, this is not about wages. It's not even about conditions except protecting what we've got. It's about protecting the community and the public. Our members, every day, have to go into houses hours after they should, put up with distressed patients, apologising. As Paul said, apologising all the time. We're sick of saying sorry. We'll keep doing it as long as we have to, but we'd rather be glad to be there on time and be able to do what needs to be done for the people who really need the ambulance service. How many more of our fellow South Hollies have to suffer or die due to the Mount Marshall government's disdain and neglect of the Angels, whose mission is to take care of South Australians? What does it take to make them care? Who knows? For me, they don't know what caring is. They just know what it costs. Blood on their hands. Anyway, I'm probably the only one that's kept it short, Max. So I'll finish up with, you can all be assured that this might not be the last rally. We may have to hold several of these. We may have to hold bigger rallies. We'll keep doing what we need to do. We'll keep talking. We'll keep talking. We'll keep showing the lies up for what they are.
I think we would, but